I am going to tell you how I write fiction. If you look at my fiction, I have a really fast paced, third person restricted, disciplined format I've been practicing for 3 years, writing screenplays full time, a lot of time into it. And I produce so many products as screenplays. So what I'm doing is I'm translating them from the screenplay to the fiction with the ideal limited third person restricted format. In a restricted format, you never talk about what they're thinking in their minds. You don't say your own feelings. You don't try to talk. The story is not how you feel about the story. It's like just putting it on screen. And I use things happening, things like I use really relevant. I'm a really relevant writer, so it's really relevant things like it's intense understanding of the relevance of things happening. My advice to you is don't be a writer unless you enjoy recreationally fantasizing and thinking of stories, putting stories together, having ideas for stories in your mind. It will just start with ideas, but as you're doing, you have to pretend like what happens in the story is like building blocks. You're just thinking like a building toy, and you're thinking as you're thinking, you're building this. You're planning ahead. You're building thinking. I'm telling you how I write. Uh, I recommend if you really enjoy thinking about it, I recommend putting on television, but don't put something that you have to focus on. I like documentary TV because when I look at it, I can just hear something, understand what's happening because they're explaining like documentary style stuff, and then I can. It's not a story that you have to know things about what's happening. You hear documentary stuff and then you look back at your paper. My recommendation to you is to have. I don't have a job. I would not know how to do this if you had to work a job. If you had to do this when you had to work a job, I would say find 2 hours a day, your TV time, mix your TV time with your writing time. It could be 2 hours, and then you'd be doing this process. It's a writing sprint, relaxing, watching TV, writing sprint, relaxing, watching TV. And while you're relaxing, watching TV, you want to have a lot of like exciting fun. It's exciting what's happening in my story. I don't know why you would write a story that you yourself did not think was exciting. And when you get to slow parts, you have to think creatively about finding things to put in it. A good thing is a meal. Have food, feed your characters. If you have to just drop some information, feed your characters and have them talk while they're eating. And then that's also giving the boost that the audience gets a reward from reading about food. And not it's not well, no. They're not reading about food. They're reading the food is there while they're learning about the story. So you're also feeding the audience in a break while you're talking about the important information that comes between the action of the movie or the occurrences of the movie. And there's other things you can do if you get to slow down. You can introduce a new character. You can think of just a quirky thing to throw in there. You can think of character, where you're at, something's happening, something they're watching, or other characters that are doing something while they're having the thing. There's so much you can do by adding something to do. Like when you're slowing down, add something, and you should have a couple ideas that you go back to, like feeding people, and you enjoy thinking about it. You write your sprints. You don't have to write too much. You could write 100. You could write 100 words. Stop for 2 minutes, and then 2 to 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and you come back in. You write the rest of it. I usually write about 500 words per sprint, but you could do 100. You could do 250. I would say if you do 100, take a small break, and then come back. Enjoy, like think, what am I gonna do here, and then come back and do it. Writing is not something you should be like I hate that feeling when you're sitting in front of a blank page and you're thinking about writing while you're writing. You shouldn't be thinking about writing while you're writing. And I don't believe in beautiful sentences. I believe in plot. So if you do want beautiful sentences in your story, my advice would be to write the plot first, and then come back in and add them. Because when you do another layer, because I learned this by writing fiction, because I'm taking the screenplays I'm writing about, I'm like tripling the length of the pages. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm tripling the length of the pages, and then it's gonna be also be triple the length of the screenplay, kind of sometimes, because you can do 1 page for 3 pages. Sometimes it is legitimately just 1 page for 1 page, but a lot of times it's gonna be 1 page for 2 pages, 1 page for 3 pages could be an average of the first draft from screenplay to fiction. No. It's like one page of screenwriting to 750 words of fiction, or 700 words of fiction, because sometimes it runs short if you're doing a lot of like real fast. If it's like more juvenile, because I write teen dramas and I also write the emotional dramas. Teen dramas, I have about 200 words a page. The comedies that are like romantic comedies about people like really intense feelings, those like 250 words a page, because I do have like longer blocks. My just blocks are generally longer per the word count. And I use 18 point on a 2-page view. 18. You look at my beautiful pages on YouTube. How to get the front and how to get both sides. And when I was saying page, I was saying one side. A full size is about 400 to 500 words on front, both sides, both page front, first page and second page. I know, but what that is, that's 18 point font per 2-page view. You have to put it on 2-page view. And I used to write on the 1-page view and transfer to 2-page view, but now I just write on a 2-page view with the 18 point font, and I can read it. 18 point font. And then the chapters are 30. If you're interested, the chapter headings like chapter 1, chapter 2, I use 30 point font for chapter headings. And okay, how to take your breaks. You want to watch something, like you want to, if you're really enjoy thinking about stories, you really enjoy thinking about stories, and after you learn how to put them on paper, you go from thinking about the bigger things to the little things, because you have more time to think about, like, you have more practice at adding things, and it stays there. You can look at it and know that you did this. Yeah, you'll be thinking about all the little things. And I like to have TV on when I stop and take a break. I like to have the TV on. The alternating stimulus between what I'm thinking about and what the TV is saying keeps it flexible. It prevents stress. There's no stress in it. So as soon as any moment of stress would come into the work, you would look at the television, and then you come back to the work without the stress. I know, because it's stressful to pressure yourself to think of ideas because there's nothing else to do. Yeah, and you take those relaxing breaks, and you come back in. Like I said, you're not thinking about the beautiful words. You're thinking about the story. You have to really practice to third person restricted, because your mind is going to want to talk about people's feelings and how you feel about it in the wording of the sentences. And you would also be thinking about perspective, intensely controlling the perspective later on. If you only write things from a restricted perspective, that's like the most objective way you can say what happens. Restricted is objective. It doesn't talk about what anyone is reading. It's not scientific, because it's just saying things that are happening in daily life. And it looks way simple. I know. And it's restricted because there's not supposed to be opinions about what's happening. The writer doesn't have an opinion, and there's not supposed to be experience. You're not writing the experience of the characters. You could add that later in perspective, because if you want to go experience of the character, overlap that with an experience of a character and what they know and don't know and how they feel about it. That would be something that you could think about better without having to also come up with what's happening at the same time, because those are different. Those are different. Those are different inside the brain cells, the neurons, the channels that correlate that are different. So it's coming to writing different channels of processing the thoughts, and they run simultaneously, but they add separate. If you just do one and the other, you have more freedom in your mind. I know. Oh. And okay, so you want to watch TV? A lot of advice, even the casual advice of sit down and it's quiet and write, and just have that time designated to writing. Is I don't like to have that time designated to writing. I want to have like, this is the block of your day where you have the TV. It's just, you have, you're not you. I also think intensely, and when I think intensely about my life, and also being sad about my life and the depression from being alone, okay, that can take up time. My TV time can be taken up with that. It's never just TV time. It's either TV time and what I'm preoccupied with for me. And maybe it's because I'm schizophrenic. I don't know. But I don't watch. Okay, if you want to work, don't watch things that you need to pay attention to. Studies have shown that people have already learned to do this because most people are playing with their phones while they're watching TV. And then you don't want to also be interested in it to pay attention to it longer than you need to be. You don't want to feel like it's interesting to you in a special way. If you always watch documentary TV, when they say something interesting, they usually start by saying what's interesting, and then they explain about it. So you can just look at that, watch it's like a little segment of, it's like more segmental. But it's more segmental than actually. Yeah, a lot of them are segment. The other shows aren't like this. A lot of shows are segments where they do 15 minutes on a story, and they explain the story in a way about how science. It's a science channel, so it's either like, if it's an engineering show, they have to explain the engineering and explain how it was working and stuff like that. You just look at it. If you like science shows, you look at it, and then as soon as you think like, I don't want to learn anything, it's like, okay, I'm done learning. It's not like I'm done being entertained. I'm done learning about this, and then I go back to my work. You can watch the news. I say, okay, don't watch the news unless you're writing a story where you want to feel emotions of angry and afraid. If you want to feel angry and afraid, you can watch TV to help you. You watch the news. But you watch the Science Channel. You can put on a favorite movie. You have a favorite movie. You know the story from beginning to end. So as soon as you stop paying attention to it, you're not missing anything in the story. And then that would help you a lot too. If you like to watch, you put on movies that you want to pick up the feeling, how the movie makes you feel. It's nothing like it's completely different than any idea, but how the movie makes you feel, and you want to write in a way that makes the audience feel a similar way. Like the emotional context, the emotional sublayer. It could help you control the direction of the story about because what you present to your audience as a focal point is the important thing. What you present to the audience if you're running at the speed of a movie, like a really good reader would read 2 hours, you might read 3 hours for this book. Because I write hour-long reads. I write I write chapters, like 8 chapters should be about 40 minutes. It should be about a page a minute. So I'm aiming for like 160 to 180 words, about 180 words. 180 words would be 3 hours at a normal reading speed, but then it'll be like 2 hours. So because I'm writing like this, I need to make sure it moves quickly. I need to make sure that the speed of the story moves time linear to time passing. And I'm showing them like a movie. It's like a movie. What you say to your audience is maybe the only, but the first important thing, and then you move on to the second thing you notice, and the third thing you notice, and then by that time something completely different should happen. If it didn't, a complete different focal point between the last thought and the next thought. And what you focus on, if you say it happens, it is important. It's the important thing to the story. It's not just part of the story. It's the current important thing of the story. Right now, currently, this is the important thing, and you're moving at the speed of like watching a movie play out. Like because okay, look at my post. 20, it's like 22 pages, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 40 of those. 40 of those pages on how I'm posting on YouTube is 40 minutes. 40 of those is 40 minutes. Yeah. Oh my God. If it's 40 of them. But that's about 6 chapters. 8 chapters is about 32 to 40. Oh. Wait, no, 8 chapters is like, 8 chapters is like 1 hour. 8 chapters is like 1 hour. 6 chapters is like 45 minutes, or like, it's like 40 minutes. I don't know. Yeah. And the important thing has to run at a fast pace. The important thing has to run at a fast pace in order to keep that as reading. You're reading about 50 things. There's about 100 lines. You're reading about 50 things that happen. 50 to 100 things that happen. If it's really like just one paragraph. I do 1 line, 2nd line. Maybe I do 1 to 3 lines. And it's the important thing. 1 to 3 lines and it's a new paragraph. I just do like 1 sentence as a paragraph, or 2 sentences as a paragraph, or 3 sentences as a paragraph. Thank you. And then look at that, and it's just the important thing. And you're running through about 50 to 100 of them. I think I never counted how many lines. I'm just guessing 100 lines. There could be 60 lines. Each line could be a second. Each single line could be a second. But maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe every 2 lines is a second, or like every 3 lines is 2 seconds at the rate you're trying to go at.